Oh, oh, hello there. I'm just checking on my baby tortoises. Just a minute, I'll get one out. There you go. I've actually got 5 of these. This one's about 10 years old, I think, and this one will be, I think, 8 years old. We actually hatched these from eggs laid by an older tortoise that I have. And over 3 years, she had 3 clutches of eggs, and we got 3 lots of tortoises. I could show you the mother, actually, if you like. I'll just put these back. There we go. So because she's bigger, she's got the full use of the garden here. But at this time of year especially, she lives in the greenhouse. Ah, there you are. There she is. So this is Emma, the mother of the babies. She's probably about 80 years old. There we go.
Well, thank you, Stuart, for introducing us to Emma and her babies. It's great to meet them.
Well, yeah, I'm happy for people to see them. But actually, Mark, I brought her in to warm her up. I've just been thinking we're really fortunate to have those babies at all because we lost her. She actually escaped from her little garden around the greenhouse and we searched absolutely everywhere for her. It was this time of year. I was really worried because, you know, the nights were getting cold. So we searched and searched all over her little garden. And then I thought, well, maybe she's got out and she's in our backyard. And we searched everywhere there around behind all the flower pots and under plants and everything. I was just getting desperate by then. And we had to go in that night and it was dark and I got up early and I started searching again the next morning and just had the awful thought that she might have gone into our back garden where there was lots of grass and trees and things and plants. And we searched, you know, I'll just put it down. We searched, fingertip searching the whole garden under plants, looking for soft earth in case she'd buried herself in, behind trees everywhere. And no sign of her whatsoever. And then the awful thought occurred to me that she could have gone into the paddock. You've seen our paddock, it's quite big. And we searched everywhere there. I was looking behind piles of rocks and there was a big pile of logs. I checked all the boundaries, no sign of her. And then I just thought, perhaps she's actually gone into the field. Well, I mean, that field is huge. I think it's about 5 acres. It's got a river running down alongside it. There's a railway line at the end of it. I walked backwards and forwards and round and round. I searched under every tussock of grass, under every bit of hedge. No sign of her. And that went on for days. We just felt so distraught for her well-being, our precious tortoise. And I remember the day that we found her. I'd walked around the field looking as I did and was about to go in, just feeling really sad. And the thought occurred to me, I'll just go around one more time. And I'm so glad that I did, because when I got right to the very end of the field, came round the corner, and there she was. She'd just come out of some long grass and was just crossing the short grass of the path. If I hadn't gone round that time, maybe I would never have found her. If I hadn't been there just at that moment, she would have crossed the path and gone into the long grass. I wouldn't have seen her. And we were able to bring her home. And we were just absolutely overjoyed. And then years later, she repaid our care by laying eggs and hatching babies. So the story ended well. But it was upsetting at the time.
This episode has a lot in it about getting lost. So in your pack, you will find a maze. Your challenge is to help this guy here find his way through the maze to the guy on the other side. See if you can figure out how that relates to today's story. Once you've completed your maze, you might like to see if you can find a creative way to make a maze for someone else to do. We'd love to see what you come up with.
that should be a lot of fun. And talking of fun, what fun we had at Home Together Live a few weeks ago.
Absolutely, it was a great time.
It was.
And here's a few clips of what we got up to. And we'd love to do another Home Together Live, and look out for when that's going to happen next. Stuart told us the story of his lost tortoise. Here's a story now that Jesus told. It's a parable, which is a story with a meaning. And this is the parable of the lost son. Jesus told a story about a man with two sons. Now that man had a farm, and his sons were the ones who sometime from now, when the man was dead and not there, would get the land and the money between them to share. One day, the younger son went to the father and said, "You know, Dad, I really can't wait till you're dead for my share of the money, the cash. You see, I'd like it now. Will you give it to me?" Well, the property was divided between the two. Now he had the money. What would the younger son do? He'd go. The very next day, he left with all that he had, leaving behind on the farm his brother and dad. Younger son went to a land far away, where he spent as he wanted, night and day. He wasted his money on food, drink and fun, until the time came when his spending was done. There was no more money. There were no more friends. The good times were over. It had come to an end. How would he eat? How would he live? He found a small job, feeding some pigs. He became so hungry he would have eaten what the pigs were fed. But no one gave him even a scrap of bread. Younger brother is starving. Younger brother is sad. Younger brother starts to think of home and of dad. My father's servants are fed. He remembered from when he was younger. And here am I in a field, dying of hunger. His mind was made up. Back home he would go, writing a speech to soften the blow. I've done wrong against God. I've done wrong against you. I'm not good enough to be called your son, but if you'd allow me to, could I be your servant? He practiced as he shuffled along, now without any shoes. I've done wrong against God. I've done wrong against you. I'm not good enough to be your son, but if you'd allow me to, could I be your servant? While the son was still a long way off, the father saw him coming. He was filled with great love, and he set off running. The father grabbed the son. He hugged and he kissed him. Throughout all of this time, he had desperately missed him. But the younger son, not realizing how much he was missed, fell to the ground and began the speech he had practiced. I've done wrong against God. I've done wrong against you. I'm no longer good enough to be called your son, but If you'd allow me to. But before he could finish, the father cried, "Quick, come, servants, bring the best clothes for my son. Put a ring on his finger, fine shoes on his feet. We'll have a great party with him in the honoured guest's seat. We must celebrate and feast, make a most joyous sound. It was like my son was dead and is alive, as if he was lost and is now found." And the noise that they made was heard far around. Then from out in the fields, older son came near. Was that music and dancing that he could hear? He called to a servant, "What's going on? What's with the party, the music and song?" "Your father has prepared the best drink and food, because your brother is home safe and everything's good." Older son is angry. Older son is mad. Older son will not go in to see younger son or dad. So the father came out. "Please come and join us, my boy. There's good reason for laughter, good reason for joy." But he came back at him. "For all of these years, I've worked like a slave for you, blood, sweat and tears. I've always done as you said, but I'm reaching my end. You never give even a small party for me and my friends. And yet this son of yours, who wasted your money on I dread to think what. Look, I'm not being funny, but you've given him the best. You've given him the lot. You think I should be happy? I think not. My son, you are always with me. Everything I have belongs to you. But how else could I react? What else could I do? We had to celebrate and feast, to make a most joyful sound. It was as if your brother was dead and is now alive. It's like he was lost and is now found."
Mark, Jesus is such a good storyteller, isn't he? I love that bit at the end with the father looking out for the lost son, yearning for him to come home, and then seeing him and running to meet him when he sees him a long way off, and just delighting in the son coming home and welcoming him back into the family. I just thought that was great.
Yeah. Jesus put so much meaning into that story, into that parable. Maybe you know what it feels like to be like that younger son, to feel that you're not good enough, to feel that you've done too much that's wrong. Maybe you know how it feels to be like that older son and to feel angry at other people and that life's just not fair. Maybe you know, like Stuart does after finding Emma the tortoise, how that father felt, to feel so happy at having found something precious that was lost. Now, as Christians, we understand this story says so much about what God is like, that he is like that good father who loves people so much and is always ready to welcome people home, no matter what you've done or how you feel about yourself, and always ready to give a new start.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to hand over to Sarah now with your activities for this episode, and we will see you for the next episode of Home Together. Bye.
Bye for now.
Well, hi again, everybody. Welcome back. I've got a couple of activities for you today that will help us remember parts of the story that we have just heard. Our first one is all about those little pigs that the younger brother was feeding. We're going to do a little flying pig activity. So you've got a sheet like this in your pack. And what you're going to do, first of all, is just cut out the pig shape from the middle. So you're left with something that looks like this. Then what you're going to do is fold right along that middle line. And then you've got two other lines either side that you're just going to fold so that they work together to make a little flying pig. You've also got a couple of extra bits on your sheet that you can cut out and use to make some little extra weights. So you just fold them to make a little W shape, and you're going to tuck the middle bit in to the middle and fold these edgy bits round, and you can experiment with different weights. You can do 1, 2, 3 or 4 extra little bits of paper to see how well your pig can fly. Okay, the second activity in your pack, you should have a couple of little felt hearts, and we're going to make a little pocket hug to remind us of the love that that father had for both of his sons. So you're going to take your 2 bits of felt. If you've got some pens at home, you can decorate them. Hopefully you've got more exciting colours than mine. I've used these ones so you can see what I'm doing. So take your 2 hearts, put them together so that they match up, and then you're going to thread your needle and tie a wee knot in the end. I've done this already. And then you're going to start sewing your 2 pieces together. So I'm going to start my needle in the middle so that my knot is hidden away in there. Grown-ups, you might need to help this one. And then you're going to start doing little stitches from the front just through to the back, all the way around your little heart. Whatever side your thread is at, that is the side that your needle goes through. Pull it through and then pull it till your thread is all used up. And then the same again from the other side. So when you are nearly back round to the start, you can see on mine I started at the bottom and I've worked all the way around to here. So I've got this much gap left. You're going to stop there. Take some of the stuffing from your pack, and you're just going to take little bits at a time and poke it in through your gap and make sure you get it right up into the edges. It's easier if you do one wee bit at a time. So once you've got a bit of stuffing in there and you're happy with the shape of it, you're just going to carry on stitching up till you meet up with your starting point. When you get back to the start, you can just tie another little knot to keep your threads in place. Chop off the rest of your thread, and you've got a little heart that you can put somewhere safe, take in your pocket. It's up to you really to remind you of that story. As always, we would love to see how you've got on with your activities, how far your pigs have flown, did they manage any tricks? We'd love to see your little hearts and how you've gotten on with those. Get in touch on the Facebook group or send us an email. Grown-ups, if you're not part of the Facebook group, please get in touch and we will send you a link. We'll see you again soon.